Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. And as people join up, I'll just give you a very quick download in terms of what we're talking about today. So last week I did a live on how not to get ripped off when doing a refurb, and I shared my top 10 tips with you. And I said I'll share the next 10 today. So that's what I'm going to do. But this is a quick recap for anybody who's watching this video now or later, where you didn't see the first video. So I'll talk you through a number of things from do your homework, have a survey done, follow the rules and regulations, which is an important one, especially for listed building consent, looking after the pennies, ordering more materials than you need, not underestimating your costs, only spend on money what you need to spend on, get quotes from multiple builders, how to avoid cowboy builders and getting references, and how not to use the wrong materials. So that was those 10 things. I'm going to share the next 10 with you today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the box. I'll answer them for you. I do have a question or two sent to me on YouTube, so I will make sure I answer those. So number 11 is don't expect miracle cures when you're doing flips or refurbs. And what that basically means is sometimes you may have a leak in the roof or problems with some of the internal walls or the flooring, and you get certain types of new innovative liquids or other materials which will fix the problems forever. You'll never have damp again. You'll never have a roof that leaks. Now, some of those things are good. Some of them I've seen don't work that well. So don't get drawn into miracle cures thinking this is a cheap alternative which is going to last me for the next 25 years, because most of those things don't work. Some of them do, but make sure you do your research and your homework before you get drawn into some of those things which are sold to be the best things since sliced bread. Number 12, this is a very important one, especially for people who aren't experienced developers or investors or have just started doing refurbs, is make sure you know the end value or the GDV or the selling price for the houses or flats or apartments in the area that you're selling in. Because the try and get the price per square foot. If you don't have it, you can obviously go into Rightmove, Zoopla, elsewhere, or speak to local agents, but get the price per square foot for the end value. Then you know how much you're going to be able to sell those houses for or those properties for, and then work backwards in terms of how much it's going to cost you to refurbish, redevelop, and obviously how much it is costing you to buy the property, and of course bank interest and other fees involved. But if you don't know the end price, I've seen a lot of people get caught out where they work out purchase price, legal, stamp duty, land tax, other cost, planning, architects, etc. Then they work out the costs, and on top of that, bank funding, interest, etc. And then they do a finger in the air job in terms of what the GDV is. And sometimes it doesn't work out to be that. So rather than making a profit, they made a huge, big loss. And then they need to find further funds to fix that particular deal. So you don't want to be in that place. You want to be in a place where you know exactly how much you're going to get for the properties when you sell them at some point in the future. So that's extremely important. Do your homework and know what the house price, house selling price is at the end of the project. Now, house prices are kind of creeping up and going up. So are materials. So you need to keep a tight watch on those. Number 13, if you're buying properties which are 1930s and older, then sometimes certain builders or you might be tempted to replace certain items in that particular house. I would say don't do that unless there's good reason to do so. Some of those properties are character properties, and the workmanship on those properties is, generally speaking, better than what it is nowadays. So if you end up replacing things, you probably won't get the same quality, and you're going to inevitably lose value. So look at keeping those things as they are and look to replace or repair where possible as opposed to replace, because those particular characteristics and the workmanship is of high quality and you don't want to lose that. So make sure you don't replace stuff just because someone says to you you ought to replace it. Number 14, And this is a popular one. We all fall into this trap, which is trying to buy bargain materials. Because if you try and do that, you'll buy cheap, but you'll buy twice. Now there are some bargains out there, but right now, if anybody can find any bargains on materials, let me know, because you know more than I do, by the way. Because you try and get hold of roof tiles, timber frame, cement, bricks, you'll do well to get hold of them. Never mind finding bargains. Now, there are from time to time end of line items, or shops closing down, or something like that is going on, or somebody ordered way too much and they've got some spare stuff which you could use in terms of tiling for your uh, one-off flip. But generally speaking, there aren't that many bargains to be had. So don't go around bargain hunting, because you might end up buying materials which aren't fit for purpose. And you're a professional person, you're a professional property investor, you want to do things professionally. Now, we all want to be as competitive as we can, and sometimes we want to buy stuff cheap, but don't always spend too much time on bargain hunting, because most bargains don't exist, and you might end up having to buy stuff twice. Number 15, this is again very important, is only make improvements that and add value. We all fall in the trap. I've done it in the past as well. I buy a property and say, well, as I'm doing it up, I would like A, B, and C to be in this property, because that's what I would like if I was living in it. The first thing is, you're not going to live in it. The second thing is, you're all about adding value. So don't add things to the property or replace things uh, to the property which don't add value. Always think about, is this item or expenditure going to add value to my property and to my overall offering? If the answer is no, don't do it. It's a temptation, because we, like I said, we end up falling into the trap of, well, this is how I would like it. Well, how you like something is not how your tenants would like something. So you've got to have them in mind as opposed to what you prefer. And that some people struggle with that, but it's important to keep your customer or your tenant in mind here. Number 16 is listen to your builder's advice. You employ experts and professionals to help guide, advise, direct you. So keep them on board and ask them for their opinion, and ask them to tell you why they think, or why to back up what they've said. And if you take their advice, they will help guide you in the right direction. All too often, I see people giving instructions to builders. A builder does something, it doesn't go right. They say to the builder, why did you do it? The builder said, well, you asked me to do this, you're paying the bill, so I've done it. But had you asked for my advice, I'd have done it slightly differently. So whether it's to do with layout or something else, speak to your builder, get advice from them. With that, number 17, which may seem like a bit of a contradiction, but it isn't. Don't leave the builder to make all the decisions. You are the person who is responsible for the property, and you know exactly what you want, and you know the quality you want. You know how much you're looking to spend. You know what outcome you're looking to achieve. So your job is to give your builder instructions by taking their advice, but don't let them make decisions on the type of doors you want, the type of tiles you want, the type of carpet you want, the type of paint you want. It's your job to decide those things, and you've got to take responsibility. Taking advice is fine, but the buck stops with you. If you leave it to builders, they might get carried away. They might do something which you don't want. And once they've done it, and then to undo it, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So you want to avoid that. Number 18, again, something which is overlooked, and that shouldn't be overlooked. Good design is important. So make sure you use a good architect who can design something which looks really nice. Because at the end of the day, if you're selling, if something looks nice, it's going to sell quicker and probably for more. If you're looking to rent, if it looks nice, you're going to rent it quicker, and you'll most likely be able to rent it for a longer period of time. So make sure you spend a decent amount of money on design. I think it's incredibly important. Number 19 should not come as news to anybody, which is energy saving matters a lot. So it helps you with your uh, uh, ECP valuation, or EPC valuations, and you want that to be as high as possible. But there are government grants available for certain energy saving measures. I'm not going to run you through these now, but if you speak to your local council or look online, There's plenty available out there, but make sure you keep energy saving at front of mind. Number 20, and the last one for today before I answer the question from YouTube, and if you've got any questions, feel free to post them here, is make sure you do the right things in the right order. Sometimes, especially people who aren't experienced, end up ripping everything out, and then they've got 2 or 3 different people working on 2 or 3 different jobs, and not always done in the right order. So make sure you create a schedule of works. You know exactly what needs doing, what goes first, second, third, fourth in good order, and then do it in that particular order. Obviously, outsourcing the whole job to a contractor, they'll do that for you. But if you're doing a small flip, it's likely you'll be doing it yourself. So make sure you have a list of priority and then follow that to the letter, because that's extremely important. The last thing you want is you've done some work, now you need to rip it out because somebody else is coming in and they should have come in first. Might sound obvious, but you won't be surprised how many people get that wrong. So that's my list for you today, plus the list of 10 from last week. If you haven't seen that video, watch that too, and then that will give you 20 ideas or a checklist to make sure that your next flip or your development goes according to plan. I have a question here from Mr. Kayvon Banton. He's giving me some preamble, but I'm going to keep it very simple. And his question really is, he's had some bad credit in the past. He's now looking for bank funding because he's done quite a few flips, and he's looking to do a flip every 3 or 4 months now, and he's not sure if he can get bank funding. So he wants to know how he gets around this. So Kayvon, the first thing you need to do is get a credit report, so you can see how good or bad your credit is, because I don't know how far in the past you're going in terms of when you had bad credit. So if you can use companies like Credit Karma, Equifax, Experian, ClearScore, or there's a company called Check My File, which I think pulls in reports for you from 3 of the main credit agencies. So have a look at your score first and see where you are. Then there are certain things you can do to improve your score. Are you having more credit cards, having more loans, making repayments on time, being on the electoral register? So I don't know exactly where you are with all that, but get your file first, then look at things you can do to improve your score if it is bad. And it might not be as bad as you think it is. And then obviously apply for bank funding once you've got a better handle on your score. The other option, which is my preferred option, because you're doing flips, I assume, let's say you're buying a house for, let's say, a couple £100,000, and I'll assume you're spending £50,000 on the refurb work. How about entering into a JV with somebody and doing a profit split? So ask them to put up the cash, and you can then put up the funds for, you can do all the work, and they will do just split the profit 50-50. Simple as that. I think that would be a good way of doing this. That's how I do it. That's how other people do it. And if you do go for bank funding, it usually takes a lot longer than it should do. It usually costs more than it should do, and it's a real pain in the neck. I mean, in the last 12 months, bank funding has been extremely slow for every single client that I've been dealing with, including myself, by the way. It's just they're asking more questions, taking a lot longer, and they are nitpicking. And that's the last thing you want to do, is spend time on trying to raise funds when you should be spending time on trying to develop more properties and do more deals. So that's what I would do if I were you, Kayvon. And I hope that helps you.